Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So, today I will be presenting my topic, which is routing in quantum repeater networks. I am Vinay Kumar, and I am a PhD researcher. I have a dual affiliation with the University of Pisa in Information Engineering Department and CNR, and I work with Claudio, Andrea, and Marco. So, uh, in the last seminar, I came to know some of the audience members are not familiar with quantum theory. So we will be starting with the brief recap or review. So we have two kinds of theories in physics, classical and quantum. Classical theory thinks follow Newton's law, F equals to ma, P equals to mv. But in quantum, things are very different, and the subatomic particle they follow a equation which is called Schrodinger equation. If we talk about electromagnetism, which is still classical, uh, if we incorporate quantum into the picture, then the theory becomes quantum electrodynamics. Same with the special theory of relativity, which is a classical theory at relativistic speeds. If we accommodate quantum, it becomes quantum field theory, and things are described by Dirac equation instead of Einstein's equation. Then general theory of relativity, it becomes string theory or loop quantum gravity. By the way, the string theory and loop quantum gravity, they are still under development. They might not be correct theory, but they are still because there is no experimental evidence as yet now. They require very high energy, which we can't produce at large hadron collider. Apart from that, there are various classical theories as well, which are thermodynamics, which becomes statistical physics, fluid dynamics, it becomes quantum hydrodynamics, and many more. The basic thing in quantum mechanics is something called wave function. Wave function is kind of a state of a particle. Uh, you can assume this, like for example, if I assume a particle, it has some location, then wave function would be a drag delta function at that location. And if we apply Schrodinger equation to this wave function, then we can have the evolution of the system, how system behaves over time and with distance, that sort of stuff. There are many strange phenomena which comes from these quantum mechanical properties. This includes superposition, entanglement, teleportation, tunneling, interference, quantum Zeno effect, etc., etc. Today we will be discussing just two of the phenomena which are relevant to this work. First of which is superposition. Uh, Consider to understand superposition, consider a bit, like a classical bit that we use in our computer. uh, this bit can be either 0 or 1, but if we are in quantum world, then those two bits are in superposition of each other. So at any time those can be in any of the state until we take the measurement. And this 1 by root 2 factor is basic. This is telling us like the system would be in 0 and 1 with 50% probability. We basically take the square of it, which is 50%. Then the second property is entanglement. uh, so consider, instead of just one bit, consider a two-bit system. So in entanglement, uh, if one bit is in 0, then the other bit would be in 1. So they have a correlation going on with them. Okay, so to understand my work, which I will be presenting in later part of my presentation, first we need to understand what is end-to-end entanglement. In the figure, the red two dots are basically two qubits which are owned by Alice on his quantum computer, and there is Bob who owns only one qubit in his quantum computer, and they share a Bell state which is phi plus in ket vector. The ket is basically Dirac notation that we use in quantum mechanics. You can assume this as like a column vector or matrix. And if we assume Alice has a initial state of psi naught, and also the Bob has a psi state, and we have a metric which is called fidelity. This metric basically accounts for how much the information has changed over uh, basically by transferring the information. Now, what we measure two of the qubits at Alice quantum computer, and we send the measurement results, which would be measurement result M0A, M1A to Bob. Then, depending upon those results, Bob may either apply no operation at all, or a poly X gate, Z gate, or both poly X gate and Z gate. These poly X gate, Z gate are basically matrices, unitary matrices that he applies to its qubit. So what would happen? The qubits at Alice and Bob got correlated. We say the information is teleported, and this process is called teleportation. Now, this is one of the phenomena. Now the question arises is that how do we use this phenomena to have some application in networks? So what if instead of one EPR pair, we have two EPR pair, which is 5 plus, and instead of just Alice and Bob, we introduce another repeater in between. Mind you, Alice, Bob, and this repeater are far apart from each other. Now, what happened? We have Alice state, Bob state. We do Bell state measurement on repeater. So the Bell state measurement would be on repeater now. What would happen? We send the measurement result to Bob. He will apply the XZ gate according to the measurement results. Then again, we have correlation between Alice and Bob. So they have qubits. Now, so it's that the data is shared. We have a communication established between Alice and Bob. Now, this process is called entanglement swapping, and this is core to my work. Now, what if instead of just having one repeater, we have multiple repeaters? We have like a chain of repeater, which we can call a linear quantum network. The idea is similar. We measure the Bell state measurement at each repeaters. We have the outcomes. We send the outcome to Bob. He will apply the relevant operation, and then we have a long distance end-to-end entanglement between Alice and Bob that they can use for communication. Okay, now we have understood that. Now, what we will be assuming, we will be having a quantum network, which is in figure. What if we have multiple source and destination? And we can basically use the linear network that we discussed, because when we have a source and destination, the path between them is always linear. It's that if we have multiple source and destination, how to select those paths so that everyone have their communication established. So this is the main topic of my work. Now, instead of having same repeaters in quantum network, we have different repeaters. Mind you, the repeaters, they perform Bell state measurement, which is very core to this end-to-end entanglement or quantum communication over network. And those repeaters could be different, because this is a developing technology. Various companies are working on it, and various physical systems are uh, being evaluated for a perfect optimized quantum repeater. So we don't know. So we assume all repeaters are different with varying degrees of noise rate. Uh, we also assume there is a sufficient decoherence time, because quantum information over time decohere automatically. And the initial link established are successful with probability 1. We assume, of course, if there is no link, then you can't do communication at all. And we will be evaluating the results for a 5 by 5 regular topology. And we only consider two classes of repeater as of now, and which is high quality and low quality repeater with efficiencies specified. Okay, now we run the simulation for two kinds of approaches. One is the shortest path. So the first SD pair, they have the shortest path. The second SD pair again have the shortest path. And the second approach is efficiency aware, which takes into account the noise rate or efficiency of all the repeaters. Uh, the graph is fidelity versus theta. Theta is basically the path order. Since we have 5 by 5 regular topology, we have only 5 path orders. Theta is equal to 1 corresponds to the first ST pair, second corresponds to second, and so on. We can see by incorporating the information of efficiency into selecting paths or routing from source to destination, we have a jump in fidelity, in terms of fidelity of some of the initial paths. This graph, blocking probability versus xi is basically the fraction of high quality node in our network. This is the blocking probability versus xi. So as we have a fraction of high quality node increase, we have a blocking probability which is decreasing, because this graph is evaluated based on some threshold fidelity. So the paths are being delivered above a certain threshold. If the path is delivered below a threshold, so that path is basically blocked, and we don't consider that. Noise awareness technique seems to deliver more path above certain threshold fidelity, and the corresponding graph on right is the fidelity, which is just to make sure the paths are of the paths are of fidelity which is above threshold. Questions?